Good morning, Mauritius. Welcome to Inside News. It's our Wednesday show, Jour du Galop, where we're going to talk about the previous meeting, a couple of barrier trials, my two to follow as well, a couple of barrier trials, and then some horses that I spotted on the sand track. A lot of the horses that I see on the sand track, it's a nice thing about the Wednesday show. I can see if they have been nominated, what sort of distances and that sort of thing. So it helps me sort of work out what I can translate over to you guys on a Wednesday morning. Let's talk about Saturday. Well, it was the Princess Margaret Cup. It was a great race, really exciting race, and well, Méritent really, I was very sort of bullish about his chances, especially when we had that little bit of rain and the track was 2.9. If you go back to when he won the Duchess, very, very similar conditions when he beat Table Bay on that occasion. Yes, it was a handicap. It was a tougher task this time with weight for age at level weights, but he really ran a good race and he won a good race. I thought it was an excellent ride by Cedric Sejon. You know, obviously Cedric's been getting quite a bit of stick lately. He hasn't had a winner for a while, and that does knock a jockey's confidence, but he gave him such a confident ride. He settled in near the back, and he pushed the button at the right time, and he really went on to win a good race. Well done to Cedric, and not only to Cedric, to Jean-Michel Henry as well. It's nice to get a Group 1 in the bag. And he's really done well with this horse, Méritent, and he looks like he's going to be a top horse. In fact, he's probably, he's got, obviously the Gold Cup's going to come up as well, but he must be in the running for he must be a big run in the Gold Cup. And not only that, he's obviously a big, must have a big chance of winning Horse of the Year, and there'll be a feather in the cap for Jean-Michel. He's had the 3-year-old champion and then possibly Horse of the Year. But even if he doesn't win Horse of the Year, he's really been a great horse, and well done to all the connections of winning the Princess Margaret Cup. I thought it was a very, very good win by Méritent. I've always liked this horse. I like the way he wins these races. He wins these races with authority, and when the pace is on, he's got a tremendous turn of foot. And once again, well done to everyone concerned. Right, some jockey news. Obviously, I think you'll probably know by now, Nishal Tia got a 1-week suspension for interference. And then Brandon Louis, he will be taking his 2-week suspensions that he received last week. And unfortunately, we're not going to see him on the track for 2 weeks, which is a little bit of a pity because I really thought he had a chance of picking up the Mauritian jockey title. And this is just going to give him a bit of a knock. But he'll bounce back. He's a hard worker. He's a good rider, and he's really doing well. And I like the way that he's going about his business, Brandon Louis. And let's hope that he doesn't get too far off the pace as far as the winners are concerned, because I really would like to see Brandon Louis lift the trophy. I'm not saying anything wrong about Jamie Allison. I also think he's a great rider. He's really doing well. But Brandon Louis, he just looks so hungry, and probably why he got the suspension. Probably wanted to do something he shouldn't have just to get into a better position. But he'll learn, and I really think he's got a bright future, Brandon Louis. I like the way he conducts his business. Right, then Keenan Steyn, well, we're saying goodbye to him. Well, I'm not. Raj Ramdin is saying goodbye to him. Rajan and Keenan Steyn have decided that they're no longer going to have a partnership here on the island. Yeah, unfortunately, Keenan's only had the one winner, and obviously he's been under a little bit of pressure, and I think they've made the decision to finish their association. And then, well, we say goodbye to Keenan Steyn. We say hello to Ronnie Stewart. Welcome back, Ronnie Stewart. Great guy. I really like him. I think he's a good rider as well, and he's going to try and help Vincent Allett. They're not having the greatest of seasons either. Hopefully Ronnie Stewart can help them turn that around. Like I said, he is a very, very capable young rider, Ronnie Stewart. And he's been here before. He knows the track. And I'm sure we're looking forward to seeing Ronnie back on the track on Saturday. Right, let's talk about my two to follow. The first horse I want to talk about is Power of Peace from the Gajara stable. I thought it was an excellent debut. And, well, he ran a cracking race. Remember, he's only had the 4 runs in South Africa for 1 win. And that win was over 1,600. He is by dynasty as well. So you would imagine he's going to need a little bit more ground. And obviously the trip on Saturday was a little bit short for him. Yes, he did get beat quite far in the end. Well, I wouldn't say quite far. He got beat quite easily in the end. But remember, it was too short for him. And he went for that inside run. Took a little bit of time to quicken up. But he was really running on the best of the rest. And I think that this horse, once he goes over a little bit further, I think he's definitely going to be a horse worthwhile following. Power of Peace. I like his South African form. His South African form's nice, especially that win. I went back and had a look, and a couple of horses that finished behind him have come out and won races, so that form is quite good. So Power of Peace looks like he's a young horse and looks like he's got sort of a nice sort of average, not average, but I'm not saying he's going to go through the divisions, but he looks like he's going to be a hard knocker and he's going to win a couple of races. Power of Peace. Right, then the next horse I want to talk about is from the Rajamdin stable, Bonjour Baby. And I must say, I was very surprised with this horse because I remember him coming to Post Lafayette and he looked terrible. He didn't look like a racehorse at all. I just think he travelled, obviously he travelled very badly down to Mauritius. And when I saw him in the paddock, I was amazed at what he looked like. I must say, Raj has done an incredible job with Bonjour Baby. Got some nice weight on him. And even if you look back at his South African form, he did nothing in South Africa. He had I think 12 runs. I think placed once or twice, if I'm not mistaken. But I have to say, once again, well done to Raj. He really turned him out well. And he had a tough race this horse. He was 3-4 wide most of the way. And how he still managed to quicken up in the straight, it was a very, very good run, full of merit. And I've said it before, some horses come to Mauritius and they change and they just sort of change their whole attitude. And some horses just love it here in Mauritius and do well. And then obviously there are some horses that don't. I mean, I'll talk about one a little bit later. But I think that this horse, if he just keeps on improving, hopefully he'll pick up a win or two for the Rajamdin stable. We know that Raj needs it quite badly. Right, let's talk about the barrier trials. There were 2 barrier trials yesterday that I want to do, I'm going to talk about both of them. The first one was Jolly Roger from the Perdrau stable. He had the red jacket, the Bisonite from Patrick Mervyn, the yellow jacket, Blazing Heart from Gilbert Reset. He had the blue jacket and trying with blinkers. And then Glen Coco, also Reset, green jacket. He had the pacifiers. Let's talk about Jolly Roger. Well, after his 2 good wins, unfortunately, he bled on his last start. And he galloped with blinkers and he showed no signs of his previous problems. Looks like he's over that problem. And let's hope it's not a serious problem. I mean, unfortunately, bleeding, you never know when a horse is going to bleed or whether you've got him completely 100% right. They can bleed at any time. So let's hope that Jolly Roger, now with a little bit of treatment, he'll be a little bit better because he's a useful horse for the stable, this Jolly Roger. I've always said that Donovan Mansour told me one day that he really rates this horse. And this year he showed his worth. Unfortunately, he went and bled on that last start. And the Bisonite, well, he was heavily backed on debut. If you remember correctly, he opened up, I think, 19-1 and he was back down to 6-1. And it wasn't a bad run, 1.5 lengths behind Newsman, but this time he was tried with gallops, and I thought it was quite a he was galloped with blinkers, I beg your pardon, and I thought it was quite a nice gallop with the blinkers on, and hopefully we'll see the Bisonite back again on the track soon. And then Blazing Heart from the Gilbert Reset stable, well, they've tried him with pacifiers. They're now going to try him with a set of blinkers, and I think he's obviously going to be a little bit better with the blinkers. For me, he looks like a horse that's going to need blinkers, and I think he's going to sort of improve with them. I see he's entered in a 1850 on Saturday, and I just can't help but think that maybe that's a little bit far. Yes, he did run a very good race behind, I think it was Ice Emperor, but I think the 1850 is a little bit far for Blazing Heart. I could be wrong. Maybe the blinkers are going to help him with that. And then Glen Coco, well, unfortunately, he's just lost his way completely, Glen Coco. And let's hope that the pacifiers are going to help him out. Right, that was the first barrier trial. The second one, let me talk about, is Fortissimo from Patrick Mervyn, the yellow jacket from the Ashes. Amos Doyle with the green. Duffield from Vincent Allett with the blue. I see they put blinkers on him. And Ashford's Legacy is a newcomer from the Ricky Mangard stable. Fortissimo, well, I mentioned earlier horses that haven't really enjoyed Mauritius. He's one of them. Just hasn't done well yet at all, and he's just, if you go back to his South African form, I think he's a 3-time winner when he arrived here. In fact, I think he arrived here off a 56 merit rating. He's now at 27, but he hasn't been showing anything, and let's hope that he can, maybe now that he's rated 27, I think he was galloped with the blinkers, and maybe he's going to be a little bit better. Then from the Ashes, from the Amos Doyle stable, he disappointed in his last race when he drifted in the market completely after a very good second, and I thought I fancied him a little bit, but he never ran a good race at all. And let's hope that he comes back, because I think he's a lot better than his rating suggests of 25. And I think keep an eye on him in that 0.25. Well, next time he comes out in a 25, I think he's a lot better than that. And the stable's in form now as well, so keep that in mind. And then Duffield, well, he was tried with the blinkers. I'm surprised they put blinkers on this horse, because he's a very hard puller. Just ask Anand Bandhu, he'll tell you. And anyway, he hasn't shown anything at all, and maybe the blinkers will improve him, but I know he's a very strong horse, and I wouldn't like to be riding him with blinkers on. And then Ashford's Legacy, well, he's from Ricky Mangard's stable. He's only had the 3 runs in South Africa with 2 places, and includes a good second over the 1200. But I have to say, that form hasn't stood up in South Africa. I went and had a look at that race. He ran second in, and not one horse has won in that particular race. So the form isn't all that great, but he's a young horse. I suppose we'll give him a little bit of time and see how he progresses, Ashford's Legacy. Right, and then some soundtrack work. The first one I'm going to start off with is Ricky Mangold stable again. He's hippique, and eventually got it right last time, albeit it wasn't the strongest of fields. I think there was a scratching, if I remember correctly. I think it was first crusade there was scratch, and it left the race sort of quite easy for him. And but I have to say he won very well that day. You can't take anything away from him. He won well that day, but I noticed that he's entered in a benchmark 31 over 1500 on Saturday, but I can't help but think that the 1500 is probably a touch too far for hippique. Not an easy horse to ride, pulls a little bit, and maybe the 1500 is going to be a little bit on the far side, but I'm not taking anything away from his work. I thought he worked incredibly well, and he's in good condition, hippique. I think he's quite a nice horse. I think he's still young and immature, and he's going to mature into a nice horse. Right, then we saw Al Mariachi from the Alan Perdrau stable. Every time I see this horse, I kick myself because I really fancy this horse. I've been following him from the time, well, even in South Africa. And when I found out he was coming to Mauritius, I was really excited. And what a great win last time from that bad draw. And like I said, I was so upset with myself because I ignored him completely. And we just have to see. I see he's in 2 races on Saturday. I see he's in a 1600 with 52 kilograms. I can't help but think that maybe the 1600 is going to be a touch too far for him. He's never ever raced further than the 1400, Al Mariachi. And it remains to be seen whether or not he's going to see out that 1600. I suppose if he does race in this particular race, he's only going to carry 52. But he is in a 990 as well, where he's going to carry, I think, 60 and a half. And let's wait and see for where they're going to decide to run Al Mariachi. But I'm a little bit worried about the 1600. Once again, I could be wrong. That's my opinion. Right, and then Sarah's Secret, and unfortunately this was bled last time because he was really putting on some good form. I mean, he's only had the 4 runs in Mauritius, and they've all been pretty close up. But unfortunately, last time he bled, and well, let's hope he's over that. I see Raj has taken his time with him to bring him back slowly, and he did mention to me that he's going to take his time because he thinks he's a nice horse. I agree with him. I think he's a very, very nice horse. He hasn't run for quite a while now, so maybe he'll need his first run back after a little bit of a layoff. But we'll see how he goes his first run back, and then we can decide whether or not we're going to fancy him his next start. But like I said, Sarah's Secret's got some top form. He's run behind some decent horses. He's been unlucky as well, Sarah's Secret, and especially with that bleed. And in 1 or 2 of his races where he ran second, I thought he was a little touch unlucky. So let's hope Sarah's Secret comes back to the track 100%. Right, and I want to talk about a horse from Alan Perdrau stable, Freddie Flint, and well, he's showing that he's getting closer to winning. He's had excellent 30 riding shotgun last time, and well, I see he's quite versatile, this horse. He's run from a 990 to a 1400, and he's put on some good races. This was Freddie Flint, and his only win in South Africa was over the 1000. But I don't really believe that he's a 1000-meter horse. I think he's going to be all right in a 1365, even a 1400, and the Alan Perdrau stable back in form. They're backing a couple of winners, so keep an eye on Freddie Flint. I like the way he worked, and I'm definitely going to keep an eye on this horse next time out. Right, then 7th Plane from the Gajara stable. He worked alongside him, Ready to Attack, and well, it was a much better run last time when he compared to that disappointing effort behind Yankee Captain. But I thought he was very unlucky last time. I think he finished behind Al Mariachi, if I'm not mistaken. And I've always said if this horse regains his 2-year-old form, he's going to be a very, very good horse here in Mauritius. And he did suffer the interference last time. I thought he was a little bit unlucky. And I see he's also nominated in that 1600 with 54 kilos. And another horse that maybe the 1600 could be a little bit too far for him. He hasn't been further than 1400 as well, 7th Plane. And I'm not 100% convinced that he's going to see out the 1600. But actually, he was running on quite nicely last time, but just hasn't been tried over the 1600, so it remains to be seen how he's going to do over that trip. Right, and then back to Alan Perdrau. He had Purple Tractor. Surprised this horse hasn't won yet. He's run some cracking races, and remember, he finished only a length and a half behind Yankee Captain. And then he ran a very, very good second to Dream Forest. In fact, I thought he was unlucky that day when he ran second to Dream Forest. And Well, I see last time he drifted from 750 to 2,000 rupees or something, and I don't think we're going to get that sort of price on him again. And I think he's a little bit better than what he's showing us, and I believe that next time he steps out, I'm definitely going to keep an eye on Purple Tractor. He has now been nominated in a rated 51 on Saturday. He's been running in a lot stronger, I think 56 and 61. So this is his debut, or his first run in the rating of 51. And he could be a lot more competitive in that sort of race. So I think he's going to be a big runner this weekend. Let's keep an eye on him. Let's wait and see when the book comes out, if he is running and how he's drawn and that sort of thing. He could be a horse worthwhile following this weekend. Right, then I want to move over to Victory Team from the Hirchan stable, and after a tremendous 2017 season, unfortunately he got injured. And I was talking to the owner. The owner's quite a good friend of mine, and he was telling me what the problem, what they had with him, and they're bringing him back slowly. And he's had the 3 runs now, getting better and better. I thought last time his run in the 1400 was a brilliant effort, especially knowing that the 1400 is a little bit too far for him. And I thought it was a cracking run, and I would imagine he pulled up sound because he's back on the sand track, and he looked pretty sound to me. So let's have a look at Victory Team. I think probably, obviously, like I said, the 1400 is too far, and a 1365 or even the 990 is ideal for Victory Team. So let's wait and see how he comes back. I like the way he's working. Like I said, he just has to regain that form from last year where he ran a couple of good races, and I think he just got beat a short head by Ernie in one of those sprints, and he's a decent horse on his day. Let's hope he comes back to his best form. Right then, Ricky Mangold's stable. Why wouldn't you? Remember, he won the second leg of the 3-year-old championship when he beat horses like Zodiac Jack, and there was a couple of good, decent horses in that second leg. I thought he ran a cracking race. Obviously, we know that he disappointed us his next start in the third and final leg of the 3-year-old championship. But it was a 1600. In fact, I thought the 1600 would suit him, but maybe that second run syndrome got to him. It's happened to a lot of horses this season. They run cracking races first time out, and they don't always sort of follow it up. So let's see how he goes next time. I think remember, he's only rated 37 this horse. He's, for me, definitely better than his rating. So let's keep an eye on Why Wouldn't You. I'm looking forward to seeing him make his third start here in Mauritius. I think a 1400, 15, even a 1600 with a decent pace, because he takes a little bit of a hold, this horse. He runs on very, very strongly. You just have to remember his first win when he won that second leg. Right, then the last horse I want to speak to you is Captain Spunny Seller. It's not often that we don't have a reset horse in my horses to follow, or my sand track work. But Captain Spunny Seller, I thought he worked very, very well. And here's a horse that runs his heart out. Every time he puts his foot on the track, he runs a cracking race. And I think he hasn't been at the first 2 when Robbie Frade's ridden him. He's improved with the blinkers as well. 1850, possibly a little bit too far for him last time when he got beat by Juliet. He was a winner everywhere except all that last sort of 30 meters, and possibly the 1850 a little bit too far. I see he is nominated in a 1500 this week, and that's probably going to be a much better distance for him. In fact, it probably looks like Robbie Frade's best ride of the meeting, Captain Spunny Seller. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins on Saturday. He's really, really well, this horse. And like I said, always runs a good race. You know, when you have a bet on him, you're going to have a run for your money, because he always tries his best. All right, well, that's the wrap. That's what we got. We've got, obviously, our barrier trials and our sand work, and hopefully this is going to help you make up your mind on Saturday when the race card comes out. But remember, before that, Friday morning, we got our show On the Mark, where Shahil will be joining me once again, and hopefully we can help you find a couple of winners for Saturday, and you can have a good day's racing. Thank you very much for joining us. Remember to catch up with us on Friday. Goodbye.